Here are 17 signs someone is spying on your iPhone. Now, this is something that I would recommend everybody go through this entire process to make sure no one is tracking your iPhone or spying on you. I'm going to walk you through all of those steps, but first, hit the subscribe button down below. Really helps me out. Thanks, guys. Now, one big category of spying on you is spying on your location or the location of your iPhone. So let's make sure no one is doing that. Let's first just head into the settings here. And from here, we're going to tap on your name at the very top. Now, you'll be able to see when you hop into here, you can see Find My. So tap on Find My. You can see my location is tagged to this device and Find My iPhone is turned on. If you're okay with sharing your location through the Find My app, it's okay. You can leave this on. I have that turned on. If you don't want to share your location with anyone, you can always turn that feature completely off. But what you want to do is see who you're sharing your location with. Now, if you don't recognize anyone on this list or you don't want to share your location with them, you can always just tap on their name, scroll to the very bottom, and hit Stop Sharing My Location. That will prevent them from finding this iPhone and finding out where you are through the Find My app. Now, the next thing we will do is we'll go all the way back here and we'll scroll down until we get to Privacy and Security here. And on here, you can see location services. We'll make sure your iPhone isn't tracking your location either. So let's tap on location services. And at the very bottom, we will hit on system services here. And now from here at the very bottom, you can see significant locations. Essentially, this will allow your iPhone to track your location and places that you regularly go. Your office, your home, a friend's home, something like that. I just would recommend turning that off and hitting the clear history to completely delete out all of those records. Now, after we've done that, we need to check to see if there are various apps on your phone that are also sharing your location. So let's go into the Google Maps app here. And if you use this, you can tap on the profile button at the top right. And you can go to location sharing. Now, again, if you see anyone on this list that you don't recognize or you don't want to share your location through the Google Maps app, make sure you turn that off so that they can't see your location. Now, next, what we'll do is we'll head into the Find My app itself. So open up the Find My app, and you'll be able to see if you tap on me at the very bottom right, and then swipe up. What you're looking for at the very bottom is allow friend requests. You might want to turn that off, essentially preventing other people from requesting your location on the Find My app. But also, if you have something that says like notify the other person when they arrive at a certain place, you might want to delete that. It looks something like this. So you can tap on here and I'll show you an example. It says notifications, notify me the next time this person arrives at this location. Now you might want to just hit the delete notification, essentially remove that feature from the Find My app. The last thing we'll do for location is we'll head into the settings back here. And you can see if I go back, here's location services, it's turned on. What you're looking for are those little arrows, and those arrows indicate that your location was used by that app or by that service. So you can see Find My, if it's kind of the purple color, that means it immediately, really recently has used it, or if it's kind of gray, that means within the last 24 hours. So I would recommend just looking through this list to see if there are apps that say always. For instance, if you hop into any of these different ones and it's set to always, that's a really bad idea because essentially the app can be closed and still using your location. So I would switch a lot of these to never, or at the very least while using if you really need that location services turned on. Now let's go to the bottom here and tap on System Services. And you can see here, I have most of all of these turned off. A lot of these are things that aren't necessary or that will share your location with other things that you might not necessarily want. So for instance, like in-app web browsing, why would you need your location to be shared through an app, through web browsing? I turn that off. You can see I've turned off most all of these. The last thing I would recommend doing for location is opening up the Apple Maps app here. So let's open up Apple Maps. And then on here, if there are any recent locations, you might just want to swipe to the left and hit delete and delete out those so there's no record of those previous locations on there that anyone might be able to see or track. Now, we've gone through all of the location items, basically the items that might be sharing your location, but essentially someone could be spying on you through other means. So one other thing that we will do is swipe down from the top right here, and you're going to look at the very top here, and you're going to look and tap on here. It will show you if any apps have used your camera, maybe your microphone, screen recording, or in this case, location. So for instance, if I open up Instagram and open up the camera here, you'll be able to see if I swipe down from the top right, it says Instagram controls, and it shows, all right, Instagram is using my camera. So in all of these instances, if you swipe down from the top right, or you see a green dot or an amber dot at the top right, that is an indication that an app is using your camera, your microphone, screen recording, something like that, that you might not want it to do. To be able to find out which apps are using that, we're going to go all the way back to the beginning of your settings here. And then we'll scroll down and go to privacy and security here. Now from here, all we need to do is scroll down until we get to app privacy report here. So tap on this and you'll be able to see data and sensor access. So it shows you a variety of different apps on here and what they have used. I can hit show all. Here's Instagram that we just opened. It used my camera and photos. Maps used my contacts and my location. If you see any apps on here that you don't recognize or that you just really don't want it to use your location, you can always go in here and turn that specific feature off, not allowing it to use your location, your camera, your microphone, essentially potentially spying on you, spying on your location, using your camera or microphone to listen in, any of those different things. Now, other things that we will do is let's go all the way back to the beginning again, and we'll swipe to the very bottom and hit on apps. Now, we need to make sure either your phone, text messages, or calls are not being forwarded to some other device. So let's scroll down here and we will first get to messages. So tap on messages. And from here, let's scroll down a little bit and you can see text message forwarding. You're going to tap on that. And if you see a device on here that you recognize, then that's perfectly fine. In my instance, this is my MacBook Pro. I'm okay with forwarding my text from my iPhone over to my MacBook Pro. But if you see a device on here that you don't recognize, I would recommend turning that feature off because, again, they're sharing all your text messages with that device. So let's go back out of here and we'll do the same for phone. So scroll down and tap on phone where it says P. And then on here, you can see calls on other devices. You can see calls on other devices. Again, this is my MacBook Pro. If you see a device on here that you don't recognize, make sure you turn that off because essentially your phone calls are being forwarded to some other random device that you might not know. Let's also go back here and tap on call forwarding. Now, if you see call forwarding turned on, and is forwarding all your calls to a different number that you don't recognize, then I would recommend, again, turning this feature off because this is essentially your calls rerouting from your phone over to some other random phone that might not be yours. So after we've done that, let's go all the way back out of here, all the way back, and we'll go back into privacy and security here. Now, there are other things that we need to check for on here. Let's scroll down and you'll be able to see on here, if we go to motion and fitness, you can see fitness tracking. This will essentially track your motion, your steps everywhere, whether you're running or biking or walking anywhere. I would recommend turning this off. This is a potential that your data could be being shared with some other app that you don't necessarily know or recognize. Now, after we've done that, let's go all the way back out of here, all the way to the very beginning and tap on your name at the very top. From here, we're going to scroll down and you'll be able to see at the very bottom are devices that are connected to your Apple account. You can see here, it just shows this iPhone 16 Pro and a MacBook Pro 14-inch. If you see a device on here that you don't recognize, tap on the device here and then hit remove from account at the very bottom. Essentially, this could be another device that has access to your Apple account, which is not really a great thing. I wouldn't recommend any other device have access to your account without your permission. So just make sure you remove those, or if it's an old device that you no longer own, make sure you remove it from your account. The next thing we'll do is we'll head into your photos here. So open up the Photos app, and we're going to swipe all the way up and go into Utilities. Now on Utilities, this is really important to be able to go in here, and we want to see various things on here and see if there are anything in the hidden folder that you don't recognize. So unlock that and open that. But you also want to go into basically recently viewed and see if things that you recently viewed or recently saved, and make sure those are photos or videos that you recently saved. So make sure there are no screenshots on there or screen recordings or photos that you don't recognize that you didn't necessarily use. Now, the next thing that we'll do is to make sure that various apps are not using your data without your permission. So let's open up the settings here, and we'll go all the way back, and we'll go to the very bottom, and we'll tap on apps. And now what you want to do is scroll through here and find a variety of different apps that you want to make sure are not using your information. So for instance, I can go to Facebook here, and you can see here, it might ask for live activities or background app refresh, or it might ask to basically use your Apple Intelligence. You might want to turn off a lot of these features on various apps so they can't spy on you in the background. They can't be running in the background or doing anything in the background that you don't necessarily want them to do. The next thing I would recommend doing is heading into the Phone app. So at the very bottom left, we'll tap on Phone, and we'll tap on Recents. Now, what you're looking for are recent calls, incoming or outgoing calls that you didn't recognize or that you didn't make. Essentially, is someone calling on your phone without your permission. And then also go to voicemail here, and then essentially search to see if you have any voicemails that you don't recognize from other people that you don't necessarily want. Now, the next thing we'll do is head back into our settings, and we're going to check to see if there are various apps that are running in the background, using up a lot of data or using up a lot of your battery life that you don't recognize. So let's go to the very top, and we'll tap on Battery. And from here, let's scroll down, and we're going to hit Show Activity. Now, it will show the number of minutes on screen and then in the background as well. So let's say I scroll down here and I haven't used FaceTime, but it says 9 minutes on screen. Essentially, that means FaceTime, if I open it up here, it shows that 9 minutes of FaceTime was used in the last 24 hours or 1 day. And essentially, if you don't recognize anything on here and you didn't open up that app, then I would recommend maybe going through and deleting that app, or making sure that you understand why it's using all of that data or why it's using your battery life, and you might want to restrict it. So to delete it, the best way to do that is just to hit General and iPhone Storage. And on here, what we're going to do is just look for that specific app. So go through and look for a specific app that you basically don't use, or that is for whatever reason showing that it's using up your battery life without you purposely using it. And you can choose to either offload the app or delete the app from here. So essentially removing that security risk of any other app being able to use your phone is a really good thing to, make sure that there's just no other random apps that could be taking your data. Now, the next thing that we'll do is we'll go back out of here. So let's tap on back here. And from here, we need to check a couple of other things as well. We need to scroll down to the very bottom and tap on apps at the very bottom. And then we'll choose Safari on this list. So I would recommend going into Safari. And from here, we'll scroll down and we're going to hit Clear History and Website Data. So make sure you delete out your entire history here. And I'm just going to choose All History, All Profiles, and hit Clear. This will delete out all of the previous information that has been downloaded onto your phone. And then from here, you want to also check a couple of other things. We'll tap on Advanced. Now, you want to make sure advanced tracking and fingerprinting protection is turned on. You might want to block cookies on your phone if you want to basically make sure that no other website is able to download cookies onto your phone. And then if you go up a little bit, you can see prevent cross-site tracking, high IP address, fraudulent website warning. I would recommend turning on all of those features to help preserve your protection. Now, let's go back out of here. Another thing is a culprit for AirDrop. Essentially, someone could be spying on your phone through the AirDrop. So let's tap on General and AirDrop here. Now, there are a couple things. If you have bringing devices together turned on, essentially, if your iPhone is next to another iPhone, it could share your name and your information, your photos. So I would recommend turning that off. And for AirDrop, you might want to switch it to receiving off unless you're specifically using AirDrop. Or you can just have it to contacts only. These are people that you trust, but I wouldn't recommend switching it to everyone for 10 minutes because that means anyone can AirDrop you a file, potentially a malicious file, to download and install onto your phone and help track you and all that stuff. So I would recommend turning that to receiving off. Now, the last thing I would recommend doing is heading into a web browser here, and you can tap on these two squares at the very bottom right and switch over to private and open up a new tab in private browsing. Essentially, by going over to private browsing, this will prevent any kind of tracking on your phone for websites that you visited, basically third-party apps to be tracking what data you've gone, what websites you've gone to, the data associated with that, and sharing that around for ad measurements and basically advertising to you, all of that stuff. So go through all of these, check everything, check to see if there's anything that you don't recognize. Essentially, we're looking for things that could be security or data leaks so that someone could be spying on your phone, your location, your microphone, your camera, all that stuff. Check all that to make sure that you trust everything that is turned on. And if you don't, turn it off. I hope this helps. If it did, hit the like button down below and leave a comment if you have any questions. Thanks, guys.